Hey, how y'all doing? What is going on out there? This is your Uncle Steve here on Uncle Steve's Lounge. Hope everyone is enjoying their Friday, October the 14th. Hoping that you have a great weekend. Of course, the Falcons looking forward to their Sunday tilt against the San Francisco 49ers, who I was just checking some of the injuries on here. It looks like they have Kinlaw and Armstead are absolutely out for the game, and Nick Bosa is questionable. Now, he has the groin injury, so that's something that you want to watch for, but I have a feeling most of the time they usually say questionable. That means you're going to play. I know for us, Michael Walker is ruled out for the game, and they have Wilkerson and Pitts on the questionable list. So if I was a betting man, questionable to me most of the time means that they're going to play. So don't be surprised if you see Kyle Pitts in the game this weekend. Man, what a boring game that was last night. Washington versus the Bears, and Washington pulls it out 12-7. 2 touchdowns scored in the game. You could either look at it as great defense or horrific offense. I think I'm going to lean towards the latter. I know a lot of folks in this neck of the woods have their eyeballs on one Justin Fields and what he's done so far. Again, it's one of those things to me. Let's let the thing play out for a little bit before you make a whole assumption about the young man. Obviously, he had enough athleticism to get them in place to get the win at the end. But again, we don't reward close, we reward wins. And Washington did win the game. Let's get into week 5, specifically us against the 49ers. We have shown as a team, I don't think anyone's going to challenge the effort in the heart of this team right now, something that we can't say in the past. A lot of folks have kind of called the Falcons to the carpet the last couple of years. Do they want to be out there? Does it seem like they're in the game? Does it seem like they even care about what's going on? And I have a sneaky suspicion that even with the jettison of Deion Jones earlier this week, I think they're trying to surround themselves with folks who want to play right now at this moment and do their thing. And I think that's who they're going to roll with. They're going to roll with a lot of young guys. They're going to roll with some of these veterans and see if they can cobble something together and start something great. I think the mix that they've had on the defensive side is coming together. You definitely see some of the younger guys getting their opportunities, especially on the offensive line. Linebacker this week, obviously, Troy Anderson is going to get some more time in there with Michael Walker out of the game this week. Let's see how that's going to turn out for us. I think it's, judging by the little spritz we've seen of Troy Anderson, I think it's going to be pretty good to me. I think we're going to be just fine. San Francisco has their challenges. Of course, we can talk negative about Jimmy G if we want to, but Jimmy Garoppolo has a winning record. He seems to always be around the playoffs, maybe not finishing the job, but always seems to be somewhere in the conversation of that. So you got to give him his love. Deebo Samuel scares me. I'm hoping there is not one time in the game where I see him uncovered. He should be accounted for. And if not accounted for, should be somebody that we should be surrounding with at least 1 to 2 people in his area, because I'm telling you, that offense goes by what he does. George Kittle, who has been relatively quiet this year, but of course, we know our history with tight ends. This will be the game that he would break out and do his thing. So let's see how that matchup goes. Of course, on the defensive side, I just told you a couple of those injuries that are key. Talking about Kinlaw, who has been doing a great job at the linebacker position. Eric Armstead on that line. He's going to be out, both of those guys. And Nick Bosa is nursing a groin, but he is listed as questionable. So if he's questionable, more than likely, if they list you like that, I think they're going to be available for that game. And don't forget, even with all that being said, Warner is a beast to be reckoned with in that linebacker core too. So it's not like they're coming with no defense at all. 49ers are going to come to play. But I do feel like this is a game that we should be able to capture. I think if you start looking at they doing some of the same things we like to do. So I look forward to it. I think this is going to be a good matchup. And I think we really, as you'll hear in my picks, I think we have a legitimate shot in this one. Going down the comments. What's going on, John? How you doing? Say, we're going to get those 49ers. I hope so. He said he guarantees it. Okay. I like the guarantees. I like the confidence in that. Yeah, there's no reason to be scared of the 49ers right now. I think they have a really good defense. They beat up on the Rams. Yeah. Are the Rams really that good right now? Or I don't know. And they've always had the Rams number. So that's a team that they have a problem with. But San Francisco, I mean, they've definitely been looking pretty good, but they got to this is a long trip they had to make. And let's see if we can get some home cooking going in here. David, what's going on, man? So I got a good chance to win this game with all the bodies San Francisco got in sick bay. Absolutely. Just pointed that out. Definitely a couple of defensive folks. And again, Bosa questionable with that groin. And if one thing I know about groin injuries is that they don't get well overnight. They take time to heal. I don't know if 1 week is going to be enough, but, he's a football guy. So, Bosa's going to go out there and try to see if he can work it out. What's going on, brother? How you doing? Say, I like that they are betting are getting a lot of talent that was born or have deep roots in Atlanta. That's a plus that you want to get the folks here fired up about them. You know how a long time ago they used to always talk about, how come they don't look at UGA? How come they don't look at folks here? But now you do see this franchise. I don't know if you all remember during the little practice that they had at the Benz, and I had the pleasure to personally talk to Terry Fontenot for about 2 minutes. And one of the things he was talking about was about the high school play here and all of the athletes he saw. He went to see a Grayson game, and he was just, talking all about, oh my goodness, is it you guys have all this talent right here back in your backyard. And I was telling him, I say, yeah, you hear a lot of people talk about it, say, hey, you don't have to go far to find the athletes. You just got to, be able to pluck them out at the right time. And hopefully Uncle Terry will have that thing cooking in the next couple of years, where not only do we have successful folks coming out here, we have some of the home cooking, some of the hometown guys here that we can root for. Hey, what's going on? Say, what's up? The Niners O-line is a little banged up, so hopefully we can get 3+ sacks and or forced turnovers. And one thing Jimmy G has been prone to is giving up a turnover or two. We've got to stay close with these guys. We cannot go down deep. You can't fall behind with these cats. You got to stay within one score. And none of this fourth quarter miracle comeback stuff. Stay close with them. We played our best game when we be able to stay close with the opponents, and then run the ball. And I know it might be difficult at first, even with the injuries I talked about, those folks not being here. I know it's going to be tough, but I just think if we stick to the run game and don't deviate from the plan, eventually we can wear those guys down, even the second string guys who aren't used to being in there as much. That's what we got to do. David says, and we must game tackle Debo and Kittle. And you know, don't forget Brandon Ayuk. That's somebody that you can't forget in this whole scenario. As much as Debo deserves all the coverage that he's going to get, Kittle, you cannot ignore Kittle. You must have somebody reliable on there. I don't know if that relies on Rashad Evans. I don't know. I doubt if they throw Troy under the bus and put him on Kittle early, but you gotta get some coverage on those two guys, especially Debo. And they line him up everywhere, so you cannot ignore him around. What's up? What's going on, man? This is a Friday here, Friday picks. We're gonna run through all these games in a couple of minutes here and talking about what the Falcons need to do to win this game. John says, just hit them in the mouth. Yeah, I don't even think you have to say that about this particular team, John. I mean, so far from what I've seen, this Falcons team has been just as physical. I can't think of a team that out-physicaled us this year. I'd say out-schemed us and maybe had us lost for a couple of times. But I haven't seen one team just come in here and just run up and down on us. Now, we had a tough start to the Rams game and a tough start last week to Tampa. But even with the Tampa game more than the Rams, even when you saw them go up 21-0 in that third quarter and it kind of seems like it was doom and gloom, it's not like they were the Tampa Bay of last year or the year before when they kind of scored at will against our defense. Those were tough sledding scores. Think about that last week. They didn't score that second touchdown of the game until the third quarter. So considering that Tom Brady, who usually thrashes us when he comes in here, whether it be with Tampa or New England, had a hard time with what they were doing. Probably why he ended up trying to kick our good buddy Grady and ended up getting fined for that, which is such BS. It's almost like they're trying to make up for the call by saying, see, look, we fined Tom Brady. Nobody cares about your fines. Nobody cares. You know, Tom Brady's not even going to pay the fine. Somebody's going to give him an extra bonus, and he'll end up. It's such crap. Rusty, what's going on, man? Said we blow out the Niners on Sunday. Team feels cheated and wants revenge. Watch out, NFL. Now, I did allude to that, and my dumb behind didn't even put the banner up. When I said this was actually the banner I put up. Where is it? Well, I thought I put it up. I had it up. Well, anyway, I had the banner written out saying what they used adversity. Matter of fact, let me pull this, and I apologize for doing this in the middle of the stream, but just to show you, I had this pasted. There we go. So I had this up there. This is what I said. I said, week 6, can the Falcons turn adversity into triumph against the 49ers? I just hadn't put it on the scroll. But that's exactly what I'm talking about, Rusty. The same thing you're talking about. Can they turn that energy into us against the world and take it out on the 49ers? Rusty said they will put Richie on Kittle. That's actually probably not a bad idea to do that. So he's going to get challenged, even though, again, George Kittle hasn't had the fastest start so far. I don't know whether he's still, I know he was a little gimpy coming into the season, but we'll see how that ends up working out. Defense will play with great intensity because of that bogus call, especially Brady. But you got to remember now, don't get me wrong. Yeah, take the spirit of it. But Brady's not going to be playing on the other side. But I hear what you're saying. I know what you're talking about. Just take the spirit of they're screwing us and turn that into the positivity of taking out these guys on Sunday. David said, I wouldn't say that a team out schemed us either. We've been out executed in our losses. Let me change my wording then if that doesn't land right, David. Let's say because I think what I was thinking about that, the first thing I thought about it was New Orleans. Not so much of the start that we got in that game, but in the end, the adjustments that they made. So maybe out schemed is the wrong part. Maybe we were out adjusted. And I know that's not really a phrase, but I made it up. So it's my phrase, I guess. We were out adjusted in that particular game. And that is something that I know I don't think you're going to see the Falcons blow a game like that again, but we'll see. John says we was robbed. Yeah, but you know what? It's week 6. So the rob part, all that mess, all out the window. You gotta move on to Sunday. That's why I haven't made any mention of it, because you can take the spirit of it, which you're right. If you feel like you were robbed, which we were, but take the spirit of that and move it into this week. Travis says, I can't wait to see Troy Anderson with more snaps now that Debo is gone. Well, yeah. I don't even think Debo had anything to do with him getting snaps, because Debo went on the field anyway. I think you had guys in there, Michael Walker. That's going to be the main reason you're going to get more snaps. But I hear the spirit of what you're saying. Yeah, Debo, look, emotionally, that's kind of a, big deal. Debo's gone. He was one of the last links to the Super Bowl we have. If memory serves me right, I think it's just Jake and Grady, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's the only guys that are still here from the Super Bowl team. So, yeah, you had to say goodbye to him, but it was kind of writing on the wall. So, I look forward to Troy. Troy has shown flashes to me that he can get to the ball. I like the fact that when he first got in the game, he got a lick on Brady. Surprised they didn't call a penalty on that. But just to be able to get a quick guy that can get to the quarterback real quick, I love that. I think that's going to be pretty interesting when they do that. So I'm looking here. Okay, hold on. I'm sorry. One more thing. John says, now what do you tell your players to do is the question, because all week long the officials have gotten worse. Well, you hope. Now, don't get me wrong. That's a good point, what you're making. And the officials know that they're under fire. And I've had a chance after taking a deep breath. I don't want to sit here and say I have sympathy for the officials' plight. They were getting criticized all week long, the week of the Tua incident, which to me should have been more the onus on Miami, because it didn't take a genius to figure out that game against Buffalo. When you saw Tua kind of collapse to his feet when he was trying to get up, there was something there to say, nah, that doesn't look normal. And they should have pulled that cat out of the game. Well, they did pull him out for the moment, but they put him back in the second half, which to me, I'm saying to myself, that's weird that they put him back in that second half after he went through that. Of course he's going to say, yeah, put me back in the game. That's when somebody above him has to make a decision and say, okay, for the sake of yourself, to save you from yourself, we're not going to throw you back in this game. So that's where that should come from. But you got a point. What do you tell the player? But the players, they're big boys, man. They gotta know. They know what's at stake. They absolutely know what's at stake. in this particular game. I am trying to get over here and share this screen so we can look at this schedule together. And I don't know why my share screen is not working like it should be. However, because it is not, I am going to just go ahead and go through with the picks anyway. So yesterday, again, we know Washington defeated Chicago yesterday in a very boring game, 12-7. Look, I know a lot of people are done with the Justin Fields thing, but I just say, yeah, just be careful. That might still, that still might help out. Here we go. And I'm sorry, y'all. Here's the schedule thing right here, and I'm gonna screen it up a little bit, get a little bit tight. So those of you who can't see, like your unk, we'll see what we're talking about. Okay, game one, we'll say the Falcons for last. Game one, we have Patriots versus the Browns. The Browns, I like the Browns last week, and they did turn out to win. And I don't know why this thing all of a sudden went crazy on me, y'all. I'm so sorry. Let's get together on this. Here we go. There we go. Back there. Patriots versus Browns at home. I think the Browns are going to be a much better team at home. Look for the Browns to win that game against the Patriots. Bailey Zapp, I should say, looked pretty good last week. It will be interesting to see if they end up showing up in this particular game. They have that running game. I think the Browns are going to match them with Chubb. Look for the Browns to win that game. Packers against the Jets. Packers still reeling from that loss in London last week to the Giants. Don't look at Aaron Rodgers going back home and losing this game. This is a huge game because the Vikings have a half step on them since they beat them earlier this year. The Jets, 3-2, big win last week, put up 40 points. Haven't seen a lot of that this year in the NFL. I think they come back to reality, though, this week at Green Bay. I don't see Aaron Rodgers losing those games, a couple of games in a row like that. The Colts at 2-1 against the Jaguars, 2-3. Both teams played ugly last week. Matter of fact, I know the Colts didn't score a touchdown, and I think the Jaguars might have scored one. This is a huge game in the AFC South, as the Jaguars with a win would move ahead of the Colts, and the Colts with their win, they could get up there with Tennessee and challenge for that first half. Jonathan Taylor is coming back, it sounds like. I know he's at practice, so if he's at practice, there's something telling me that he's going to get a chance to play. Colts are back home. I look for the Colts to win this game against the Jaguars. Closer than you would think, but I look for the Colts to win. The Vikings, speaking of them, are 4-1. And really, out of the teams, you think about Buffalo, you think about the Eagles and Dallas and the Giants and what they're doing. Nobody's talking about the Vikings. Kirk Cousins, it's not a world beater, but just doing his thing. Dalvin Cook doing his thing. The defense showing up, just piecing together some wins here at the beginning of the season. They go play a Dolphins team who is down to their third string quarterback, which is a huge problem for a team with those weapons like Tyreek and Waddle, and not being able to properly utilize them like they would want to with their top two guys out. I look for the Vikings to go into Miami and take that game out with them. John says, "Oh no, I absolutely have zero sympathy for the Zebras." Let's see. Travis says Justin Fields is just being wasted in Chicago, and I share that sentiment. I'm not trying to tell you he would be a super quarterback anywhere else, but it's obvious whoever decides on the offensive guys for Chicago has just not been the answer. I see some things in Justin Fields that, boy, would be interested if it was here in Atlanta. But that athleticism you can't replace. I think Justin may be somebody that just may need another year or two. Remember now, even though he had that remarkable year at Ohio State, he had 1 year starting experience on the big boy level, meaning whether it be Division I football or whatever. So he probably still needs some cooking, just like Trey Lance probably could have used some cooking before the injury. So I don't want to count these guys out completely yet. But I think Justin is just going to go through this, man. He's going to go through this until they get the right person that can use him. David said, that's why I watched Baylor versus West Virginia. Wasn't going to watch another punt fest. Yeah, that Washington game. And I was at work, and I got a chance to glance up and check it out. And I was waiting for the score to get past double digits. I know, was it 3-0 at halftime? There's some ugly ball being played on Thursday. That could be the Thursday thing too, where, good ball just isn't played. At 1 o'clock, we got Cincinnati at New Orleans. New Orleans, who are so lucky that they had Taysom Hill, because Taysom Hill probably accounts for both of those wins. That dumb touchdown he scored against us in week 1 was very critical to that win. And of course, scoring 4 times in the game is just unbelievable. The Bengals are just a better team to me, and I think you got them on that turf. I think they are just a better overall team. It bothers me, that offensive line, though. They've got to protect Burrow. And if they don't protect him, it's going to be a long game. I honestly have not paid attention, because I don't pay attention to the Saints, whether Jameis is coming back or not. Either way, I got to like the Saints at home in this particular matchup. I'll be rooting for the Bengals all day, but the Saints probably have a little bit of edge with that crowd. The Giants, the 4-1 Giants against the Ravens. All of a sudden, who would have picked this game at the beginning of the year of being a key game? Giants with a lot of momentum. The Ravens with probably the front runner for the MVP right now, or if not, top 2 with Josh Allen. I like the Ravens coming on the road and doing their thing to the Giants. Lamar Jackson, when he's had to be, has done his thing. I think this is going to continue. I like what the Giants are doing, though. I'm not going to lie to you. The Giants have been impressive. I just think that streak ends. Speaking of streaks ending, I think Mike Tomlin is about to be playoffless this year. Tampa Bay go into Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh 1-4, no TJ Watt. Kenny Pickett at quarterback. He's more interested in fighting defensive guys. I don't look at the Steelers being able to put up much of a fight against a Tampa Bay team who, quite honestly, they have a lot of offensive pieces, even though we did kind of hold them to only 21 points. Not like they weren't trying to score, but I think they'll probably have a lot more points against a Pittsburgh Steelers defense that is just hurting right now. Look for Tampa Bay to go into Pittsburgh and take that game out. The Rams hosting the Carolina Panthers, and the Carolina Panthers fired our coach this week in Matt Rule. We have gone to our third string quarterback because Baker Mayfield isn't working. If you're a Panther fan right now, you are hurting. So I don't think that's going to bode well for them. The Rams, who looked real bad last week, looking to bounce back. I think they will. Look for the Rams to win big in this game against Carolina. The 2-3 Cardinals against the 2-3 Seahawks. Which team have you been more impressed with? I got to say the Seahawks. No way that I see some of the things I've seen from the Seahawks. They kind of are a mirror image of us. Geno getting his opportunity to show what he can do, and he's been pretty decent so far. One of the top 10 rated quarterbacks so far in the NFL, and he has the Seahawks believing now. Is that enough to overcome a Cardinals team with Kyler Murray and company? I think it is. I think that 12th man is going to help them out this week. Look for the Seahawks to pull the mild upset over the Cardinals this week up in Seattle. In the game of the week this week, in my opinion, the Bills versus the Chiefs. No doubt the top two teams in the AFC. Of course, the two teams in that memorable AFC championship game last year that Kansas City outlasted Buffalo. Anytime you know a game is good when it changes the rules in the NFL. And of course, that ended up changing the overtime rules for a lot of folks. Look for the Chiefs with that home cooking to come in slightly ahead of Buffalo. I think Buffalo is definitely the better team, but I think in this instance, being in Kansas City, they have that mojo with them. I would have said the other thing if Buffalo was hosting the Chiefs. So I look at the Chiefs winning this game barely by the chin. Look for this game to be in the 30s. I don't think either defense is right now at a point where they are smothering folks. I think this is going to be a shootout as it was in the AFC Championship. Look for the Chiefs to win by a small margin. And what some people would say is the game of the week, I don't. I go back to the Chiefs and Bills. But the 5-0 Eagles hosting the Dallas Cowboys. I don't know whether it's a 100% or not, whether Dak is trying to come back for this game or not. Either way, I think I like the Eagles in this game, man. I think the Eagles are on a roll. Jalen Hurts playing some pretty good ball. They're running the ball. They're getting the ball out to the receivers, playing complementary defense. The Eagles look very good so far this year. The matter is, can they sustain that throughout the year is going to be the question. There's no doubt that Dan Quinn has that defense playing lights out. I'm still not totally convinced that the running game with Ezekiel Elliott, I got a feeling this might be his last year here because I think he's been okay. But for the money that they're paying him, they're going to expect a lot more. Look for the Eagles to take out the Dallas Cowboys on Sunday Night Football. And last but not least, on Sunday night in a big game, and it could be an early elimination game for both of these teams. The 2-3 Broncos go into Los Angeles to play the Los Angeles Chargers. Chargers now 3-2. Some would have thought the Chargers might be playing a little bit better. I know the injury to Herbert was unexpected, so maybe that's part of the reason why 3-2 is nothing to sneeze at, but a lot of folks had them picked as maybe even a dark horse for the AFC. Being at home, I like what they've been doing with Eckler. Eckler is finally getting the ball. Hopefully he'll be able to produce for them. I like the Chargers against the Broncos. Russell Wilson, boy, oh boy, how bad can you get? Now, it has been reported that he has some shoulder injury or whatever. But my thing is, dude, if you're hurting, then get off the field. Don't hurt your team. And I just don't like that he would sit out there and do that. All right, Rusty says the Justin Fields thing is interesting. Do I think he's talented? Yes, but do I also think these OSU quarterbacks being surrounded by five-star talent at OSU covers up a lot of their flaws, just like most Bama QBs? I am kind of in that same boat. I hope, it's easy to say the Alabama quarterbacks, the OSU quarterbacks. It has been shown that they don't come out and do their thing. A lot of people would have said that about even LSU quarterbacks, because remember, it was my syrup boy, Jamarcus Russell, who came out, but Joe Burrow seems to be bucking that trend so far. Joe Cool seems to want to change that narrative about LSU quarterbacks. But yeah, I think Justin is going to be fine. I think there was a reason he fell in the draft. I think that out of the top 10 justification is probably coming to fruition. And it's just going to take time. I think it's going to take time with him. I would hope they don't give up on him because you see some of the talent. You see he can throw the ball far, and you see he can run. But some people, it might just take a little longer than others. Wallace says, what's good, Uncle Steve? How you doing, brother? So I think we will pull this win off against the Niners with all the injuries they have on defense. Funny you say that. So that's the last game we're going to pick before we get out of here. And that's the 49ers 3-2 at the Falcons 2-3. I think a lot of people on paper would automatically dial this in as a first go win. Of course, having one of the great utility players in the game in Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk on the side over there, George Kittle at tight end. Their offensive line has been kind of shaky this year, but their running game has been doing enough to get by. Their defense has been their calling card, and they got a lot of injuries on defense. I know one of the cornerbacks went out, was it last week or 2 weeks ago? Eric Armstead not playing. Javen Kinlaw not playing. Nick Bosa, questionable, but I think, to me, the questionable tag usually means that they're going to play. Coming back to Atlanta, I must admit, I think this is one of those teams, the team we have right now in Atlanta. I think they're going to rise to the occasion. They realized last week things were kind of taken from them in a certain way. This offense isn't one that's gonna. Yeah, this isn't the 2016 Atlanta Falcons where we were putting up points like pinball machines and Matt was throwing the ball all around the place. This is going to be a ball control team. This is going to be a team that we're going to try to run it 2 out of 3 downs more than pass it 2 out of 3 downs. And let's look to see how this offense comes out next week. Now, if Kyle Pitts plays, which I think he is, he's been limited in practice, but he has been practicing. If Kyle Pitts plays, that's going to be great because he's going to get attention, just like Kittle's going to get attention on the other side. And if he can distract some of those folks and free up Drake London, free up OZ, and just give those safeties and linebackers something else to think about back there, I think it's going to go in our favor. Folks, I think this is an upset, and upset as far as the NFL is concerned. But with the injuries now, I'm not going to lie to you. If they were full strength on defense, this would probably be a little bit more even. Don't be surprised if the Falcons win this game by 7. Because I think from an offensive standpoint, I don't know if Jimmy G can put up points quickly like that. They might be in the same boat as us. They rely on a lot of defense and trying some ball control. Just can't let Deebo get loose on you. There will be no excuse for me to see Deebo wide open on any play on Sunday, unless somebody trips, get injured, or something like that. That's what's going to bother me. If they don't have him covered, that's going to bother me a lot. But I look at the Falcons. I'm going to throw the score out there. I'll say Falcons 24, 49ers 20 in the game next week. And I think the Falcons will go back to 500. Let's see how it ends up working out. I will be here on Sunday. Now, I'll be after the game because I'm going to the game. I might be on Smitty's Sports Machine on YouTube as well. I know sometimes I jump in with those guys, but I'll also be on Atlanta Bird Gang that night, one way or the other, to go over what happened. Hopefully, we'll be talking about a big win against San Francisco and taking a 500 record into Cincinnati next Sunday. All right, folks, until then, I will holler at you. This is your uncle here on Uncle Steve's Lounge and the Atlanta Bird Gang, bidding you a great Friday. Go Falcons. And don't forget, if you got your old school stuff, wear your old school stuff to the game this week. They got the nice old school helmets and the black uniforms this week. Can't wait to see how that looks, and hopefully that look will bring us some luck. Until then, y'all take care, man. Have a blessed Friday, and we'll see you all at the game on Sunday. Peace.